The Thunderbolts have had many rosters over the years. They've been villains playing heroes, villains seeking redemption, a Black Ops squad, the Mayor of New York's personal hit squad, and more. So join me, Rambling Rob, as we take a look at every version of the Thunderbolts.
Rambling Rob.
The Thunderbolts were born from the ashes of Onslaught's final battle with the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Namor, and a bunch of other heroes. With all but the X-Men left behind, the world was left without most of her heroes, and that's when the Thunderbolts struck like lightning. The initial roster was made up of Citizen V, Songbird, Atlas, Techno, Mach-1, and Meteorite. We find out that these new heroes are actually the masters of evil in disguise. Zemo's plan is to work his way into the good graces of the powers that be and get his hands on the contents of the Baxter Building. But somewhere along the way, the villains found themselves enjoying being received as heroes, and all of them at one time or another took a legitimate shot at reforming. Hawkeye led the group for a while and convinced a few more criminals to try and turn their lives around. They even had two members with no criminal records, Jolt and Charcoal. Charcoal was a fan-made character from a competition in Wizard. Unfortunately, he's one of the rare characters in comics to stay dead, as his creator was trying to claim copyright over him. I want to mention a very strange time in Thunderbolts history. Issues 76 to 81 saw the creative direction completely change, and the team became part of the Ultimate Brawling League. Armadillo, and a new character named Daniel Axum, were the main focus of this time in the series, before the series relaunched as the new Thunderbolts. This drastic change was inspired by the success of Ecstatics, who briefly replaced X-Force in their series. Tony Stark needed some backup during the first superhuman civil war, so he assembled his own Thunderbolts unit, which included Venom, Lady Deathstrike, and Bullseye. After the pro-registration side won the war, Norman Osborn was made the director of the Thunderbolts. They carried on their duties as the Hero Hunters while operating as Colorado's official initiative team. This team was composed of Songbird, Moonstone, Radioactive Man, Penance, formerly Speedball, who was trying to atone for his role in the Stamford incident that ignited the Civil War in the first place, and Swordsman, alongside Venom and Bullseye. Bullseye being a secret member and kept out of the public eye. Both he and Venom were outfitted with nanobots to keep them in line. Radioactive Man and Songbird would leave the team, and Penance was put in psychiatric care, while the rest joined Osborn on his team of Avengers. So what purpose would the Thunderbolts now serve? They became Osborn's personal Black Ops squad. The roster was made up almost entirely of mercenaries or assassins. There was the industrialist saboteur Ghost, Headsman, Black Widow, Yelena Bova, who was actually Natasha Romanoff in disguise at the behest of Nick Fury, the Osborn devotee Scourge, who was actually the Weapon Plus graduate Nuke, the irredeemable Ant-Man, sadist martial arts master Mr. X, and last but not least, Paladin. Once Osborn fell from power after the siege of Asgard, the Thunderbolts would once again go through a change. Steve Rogers wanted Luke Cage to reform the Thunderbolts. They were no longer operating at a Thunderbolts mountain. Their base of operations was now the maximum security super prison, the Raft. The team was spearheaded by Luke and had three handlers: original Thunderbolts, Songbird, Mach-5, and Fixer. The roster consisted of Juggernaut, powered down by Cyttorak after his acceptance of the Enigma Force. Moonstone, Crossbones, Ghost, Man-Thing would serve as their transportation due to his link to the Nexus of Realities. This version even had its own secondary team, whose members included Shocker, Boomerang, Mr. Hyde, Centurus, and Troll. The Red Hulk, General Thunderbolt Ross, was the next to assemble his own team of Thunderbolts, the siege of which were sown during the Code Red storyline. Ross brought his team together with the promise that each of them could use the squad to carry out a mission of their own. This team of Thunderbolts included former Code Red members Deadpool, Punisher, and Elektra, who were joined by Agent Venom, Ghost Rider, Mercy, and the Leader, who Ross, after previously draining Stern's body of its gamma radiation, imbued him with red gamma energy to use as an intelligence agent. The next version came from the Avengers Standoff event. S.H.I.E.L.D. proposed using fragments of a cosmic cube to reshape reality as they saw fit. One such fragment became sentient and was used to create a place called Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill seemed like an idyllic town, but was a prison, and the townsfolk were supervillains who had their minds altered by the cube fragment Kobik. After helping the Avengers shut down Pleasant Hill, Kobik used her powers to contact the Winter Soldier and her friends from Pleasant Hill, Fixer, Moonstone, Atlas, and Mac-10, to save her from S.H.I.E.L.D., who were trying to take her into custody, thus creating the newest roster of Thunderbolts. During his time of Mayor of New York City, Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, had no less than 3 versions of the Thunderbolts. Fisk got Zemo to don his Citizen V guise once again, and end the Punisher's reign of terror with this incarnation of the Thunderbolts: Moonstone, Fixer, Radioactive Man, Ghost, and Paladin. When Null's invasion hit New York City, Fisk refused to leave, and instead he went to the bar with no name. A safe space for all of New York's superpowered criminals, Fisk then offered them a choice between a job or prison. The Taskmaster led the squad, comprised of Rhino, Batroc, Mr. Fear, Star, the wielder of the Reality Stone, and some honorary members from Ravencroft, Marvel's version of Arkham Asylum. They were sent on a suicide mission to use the Sentry's body as a nuke to take out Null. Figment, one of the honorary members, used her powers to make it look like the Thunderbolts died in a blaze of glory. During Devil's Reign, where Fisk put the Anti-Vigilante Act in place, he turned the Thunderbolts into his own personal task force. He had regular agents alongside superpowered ones. This roster was an expansive one and included Taskmaster, Electro, US Agent, Agony, and Rhino. Luke Cage was elected the new mayor of New York City after running against Kingpin during Devil's Reign. Hard as he tried, Luke couldn't just repeal the Vigilante Act, so he decided to try and sway public opinion by giving the Thunderbolts a PR makeover. Hawkeye was brought in to lead the team. His old West Coast Avengers teammate America Chavez was on the team too, along with Power Man, Victor Alvarez, not Luke Cage, Zebediah Kilgrave's daughter, Persuasion, and mystery military man Guts and Glory. Monica Rambeau, aka Spectrum, aka Captain Marvel, aka Photon, and Egro the Unbreakable were the last 2 members to round out the team. The most recent version of the team was put together by Bucky, now going by the Revolution. He assembled a mission-specific roster of Thunderbolts. He called them together to help him take down the Red Skull once and for all. Bucky's second iteration of the Thunderbolts was made up of Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, Sharon Carter, now going by the Destroyer, Red Guardian, both the Black and White Widows, Shang-Chi, and a reluctant US agent. Doctor Doom could be considered an unofficial member due to his unwitting assistance in the team completing their mission. And that was a look at every team of Thunderbolts. The last page reveal of Thunderbolts number 1 is, in my opinion, one of the best in comics. Now this was in a time before everyone rushing to be the first to post about something, so it was a genuine surprise. A lot of people think of the Thunderbolts as Marvel's Suicide Squad, but that's not the case at all. I mean, the King in Black roster would be the closest they came to Task Force X in my opinion, but they're so much more than that. With such a wide variety of team versions, there's a Thunderbolts for everyone. I legitimately can't pick my favorite roster or run of the Thunderbolts, but standouts for sure are Cage's time as leader and the original run. Now I am wary of the MCU Synergy that seems to have taken hold of the team, but hey, with how versatile this concept is, I'm sure they'll bounce back even if Thunderbolts isn't a success. So what's your favorite version of the Thunderbolts? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, I've been Rambling Rob, you've been fantastic, and I'll see you soon.